Well, greetings and salutations, test takers. This is Series 7 Guru, aka Dean Tenney, with our always very special guest, Brian Lee, the Test Geek himself, managing member of Test Geek Exam Prep LLC. Tell us what series exam you're taking, where you're joining us from. We're here every Tuesday, 5 p.m. Las Vegas time. With the exception next week, we'll be having a special Thursday edition because I will be off the grid. I'm building a new cabinet and my Starlink isn't quite what it needs to be to support live streaming. We start with some housekeeping and debrief. And so let's start with our debrief, which is our normal course of business. If nobody has anything good debrief, then we skip that. We get right into helping you with the content. It's mainly about helping you with content, but it's also about fellowship. But mainly, Brian and I want to provide some answers to you. We already have one question in the queue for us to tackle when we get done with housekeeping. 65 debrief, calculate NAV, dividend discount model, nothing surprising. PE, meaning no calculation. Simple 33, 529 versus Coverdale, defined benefit plan, ERISA. Efficient market hypothesis, not surprised, 2 questions. FORM ADV Part 2B, FORM ADV Part 1, 1 question there. Standard deviation. A zero coupon bond, munis. They were asked about a 4% muni versus a 6% CD. Qualified dividend. What is the lowest rate for a qualified dividend? I would just know it's lower. That's kind of weird. Inflation risk. Strategic versus tactical. Nothing surprising here, Brian.
No.
Passive versus active. Liquidation priority is always on there. Tenants with rights to survivorship versus tenants in common. Remember, transfer on death avoids probate. Breakpoints. Donor advised funds has been showing up. I think you said, Brian, you've had reports that people have seen it. And I've seen it as well in terms of debrief. So, all right. So that's our debrief. Let's take care of our housekeeping. Then we'll get into answering your questions. This month, Kaplan has contracted with me to teach 3 classes for them. Well, I should say they've contracted with Guru Exam Prep LLC, which is me, to teach a Series 9 on September 8th, a 66 September 18th through 20th, and a 65 September 25th through 29th. If you would like to join me, you can do it on the Kaplan Financial website, and you get a 10% discount code for Kaplan products and services, including classes. Might want to wait a couple of days. I think that discount code will be 15% here in the next day or 2. So you might want to hold off if you're planning on joining me. And the other great discount code, if you don't already have a paid supplement, best free supplement is my YouTube channel, but best paid supplement, I think, is a Kaplan Q Bank if you don't have one. And then the Test Geek himself, his paid supplements. And you get 20% discount on that. And Brian's video courses all in is about $100 with that discount code. That's the videos, that's the class notes, that's the practice exam. And Brian, I forget how good your stuff is. I just used that options exam you sent me twice for tutoring sessions yesterday and today.
Thank you.
And I was going through that. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, that's a good one too. Oh, here's another good one. So as Brian always says, it's about distillation. And I was telling him both those tutoring things. Brian doesn't have any questions that aren't actually, important. I'll put it that way. All right, let's see.
Videos are flying off the shelf this
Are
month.
they? Good.
Yes,
You deserve it.
Yeah.
If you do have a question, just tell us what exam you're taking so that we, because different exams have different depths and texture to the questions. And so that helps us instead of Brian and I, sitting up here going, oh, it was SIE, it was 7, is what is it, When we're all done with our live stream, it's available as a replay, and it's also available as a podcast episode on Spotify. And if you're using the channel, the best way to do that is the series playlist in the channel search bar. You can binge the series playlist, but if you're trying to look for a particular thing, go to the search bar. All right, let's see what we got in the queue here. Question. Let me get rid of our banner here that's running at the bottom. As I mentioned, next week, we'll be doing a special Thursday night edition. 65 question. Can an investment advisor rep take a loan from a qualified lending institution, or does that rule only apply to BDs and agents? Now, Brian and I backstage, I said, he gave me his explanation of this. And I said, Brian, I call that a test-taking trick called reduction to the ridiculous. What does the world look like if this was a correct answer? Do you want to take this one, Brian?
That means the IAR would not be able to buy a car, buy a home, or anything else, right? Obviously, the IAR can borrow from a lending institution. Of course they can.
Yeah. Do you like the word bona fide?
I don't.
Bona fide is Latin for good faith.
Yeah.
So a bona fide lending institution. Let's see. Next one. All right, Seth.
There he is, my man, Seth.
Victorious test taker in the house. Now, I don't know why you wouldn't believe Brian and I about what's on the 65. But if you don't, you got some victorious test takers you can check in and say, hey, is that Brian and Dean guy? Are they blowing smoke or, you know? All right. Series 7 from Dallas. All right. Lots of Series 7 people in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex area. There's Westlake, Schwab's out there. Fidel's got big operations. So, you know, if you have a Series 7.
I just flew through the Dallas airport yesterday.
Which one?
Taking your little Skylink.
Yeah.
I thought I was traveling halfway to Houston by the time I got to the other concourse.
You know, the gate, changing the gate at DFW could be a major. I used to fly into Love Field all the time because I use Southwest.
Right. That's right.
So, you know, I feel so bad because I haven't flown in so long, and I used to be a huge traveler, and Southwest was my go-to. And then I had some problems. I'm like, what happened to the brand, man? It used to be a great brand. Columbus, Ohio. All right, Carla, welcome. One question from New Material. Well, Seth, don't tease us.
Yeah,
don't tease. Well, don't be a tease. What was the question? I think for insurance question, that's kind of heavy for 65, don't you think, Brian?
I was thinking the same thing when he texted me this today, and I was wondering if he may have included variable annuity questions as well. Okay. Yeah.
All right, we got another 65 question here, Brian. So
good.
If an IA uses a paid solicitor, does the paid solicitor have to be registered with the state? Well, it depends if they're federally covered or not. If they're federally covered, the answer is no. If they're state covered, the answer is yes. Does this vary from federal state advisor, or is the rule the same? No, it varies from federal state. Your comments, Brian?
Yeah, wow, this one just threw me for a loop. I'm sorry about this.
Mm-hmm.
So a solicitor.
I can tell you, I did this for a living. So broker dealers.
I know.
Broker dealers can be hired by federally covered solicitors to solicit for them. And the broker dealer does not need to be a registered investment advisor, and the agent of the broker dealer doesn't need to be a 65 or 66 to raise money for a federally covered investment advisor. State covered advisors cannot hire people who are not registered to solicit. That's why they want to get to 100 million, because at 100 million, then they could hire a Goldman Sachs or a Morgan Stanley or somebody to go raise money for them. I don't think it's a test issue, Timmy. I don't.
Yeah.
So, All right. Woohoo. Another victorious test taker, 63 in the house.
The big P.
Yeah. Are you done, Jeffrey? I guess so. Usually when you're doing a 763, that's the end of the testing cycle for you until someday you have to go take a 65. End of the week, Erica. All right, cool. How you doing on test? You done any practice tests yet? Or, are we getting some closure on finishing up or buttoning up your study effort? Well, Seth, thank you so much. We like to help people, and we always, feel good when people use our content and they make their P, as Brian says, as I say, make their mark, whatever the case may be. And, it's always fun to see people in our industry, too, who then go on to use these registrations to provide for themselves and their families in a very good way. Securities industry can be very, very rewarding. And so I don't know about you, Brian. I've been in the places and someone will pick up a round of drinks and I'll think I'm going, well, who is that? And it's some student who passed their test and, they've, been doing that. Passed Series 7 yesterday after missing. I love it. Sign of resiliency, right? Marcel, I got to call you on your cell phone. I apologize. I know. I'll tell Mom hello. And Marcel, I'll be doing a live stream overtime. So I'll call you first thing in the morning because we got a time difference. So I'll call you on your cell first thing in the morning. Hard to keep up. Congrats. Happy Tuesday. 2 for Tuesday. About the protection of IA, if they put hold on funds, if they're concerned about what's going on. So I would think, Seth, is that the senior exploitation thing where we have a trusted contact person?
Yeah.
Sounds like it doesn't. I think the hold can be up to 15 days. Brian, is that your thought on that?
That's correct.
I think, Seth, if would I be prepared for it? I'd be interested in context if you can provide it. But when I'm teaching this, Seth, I usually say we have to have in our WSPs something about protecting seniors, keep them from being exploited. Most of us would suggest to our customers a trusted contact person.
Now, I got a question for you. Yeah. I mean, those are FINRA rules about the senior protection.
NASAA's all over that. NASAA's all over that.
I was going to say, is it part of the USA?
No, it's not part of the USA, but NASA in its updates have said that's one of their continuing concerns. And so I teach it just like it was a BD. IAs are required to have WSPs as well. IAs aren't allowed to just not have any policies and procedures. Right. IAs have to have written policies and procedures, and those things have to be addressed. It's like NASA's cybersecurity thing. Remember that? When in 2014 they did their survey. So that's, but anyway, Seth, I'd be interested in the context of that.
Yeah, definitely.
What is the minimum deferred tax rates on dividends? 0, 12, 15, or 20? I've had several people say they've seen this. And I don't know if I'd go 15 or 20 because it depends on how long you've had it and what your tax rate is. Brian, what's your thoughts on this one?
Well, I believe in the prior comment, he said qualified dividend.
Yeah. Oh, this is not a qualified dividend.
Well, it is. I think the question is referring to a qualified dividend.
And what's your thoughts on that one?
Isn't it 15?
Yeah, I think I would have gone with 15.
Yeah.
That's what I would have gone for, but it could be 20 for somebody in a higher tax bracket. But I usually, when I'm teaching this concept, Seth, I usually say, and this is how I've seen it tested, and I don't know if Brian's had any feedback on this, that, recognizing that it has a lower rate than a non-qualified dividend. Non-qualified dividends would be taxed at my ordinary income tax rate, whereas a qualified dividend would behoove you, if you can, to have that type because it would be a lower rate. The other thing is
15. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 15. Yeah.
And then the 15%, I would definitely know the 50% of dividend of Corporation A paid to Corporation B. I would definitely know those two. Question about cumulative voting. So Series 7, I would imagine this is 500 votes, 4 seats. That's 2,000 votes. Spend them in any fashion you'd like. So you take the number of votes. Well, they have 500 votes, 4 seats. I think you mean 500 shares, Desiree, is what I think you mean to say. So they have 500 shares, and they're voting on 4 board seats, so they would have 2,000 votes. So that's how and you can split them in any fashion like that. Protects minority or smaller shareholders, because on any one thing, they can only split the initial 500. No, it's either cumulative or statutory. So statutory would be 500 shares, yes, no, 500, yes, no, 500, yes, no, 500, yes, no. Cumulative would be 500 times 4, 2,000, spend them any fashion you'd like. One other point I'd be aware of on Series 7 is super voting shares. That's very testable. Super voting shares, you haven't heard of this? It's on 7. It's quite there, but a lot, Brian.
Never.
Super voting are shares that have more than 1 vote per share. So like the Ford Motor Company, the Ford family has the B shares. It has 100 votes per share. They are protected for lawsuit. I'm not sure what that means, Seth. If they turn it in, I'm not sure. Did I miss something? Put on a hold. Well, yeah, remember, it's not a power of attorney. Maybe that's what your context was, Seth. So the trusted contact person, I'm my mom's trusted contact person. That doesn't make me her power of attorney. I can't go get money out of her account. What it means is that if my mom comes into the bank and she's trying to wire some prince or something, they call me, they say, Dean, your mom's down here trying to wire her some money to some prince. I said, man, I thought she watched enough Dr. Phil to know that's a bad idea. I said, thanks. And what they can do is put a temporary hold, while they call me, and then I try and call mom. They could also put a temporary hold, like to do a wellness check if they haven't, heard from somebody. So it's a temporary hold. It's not a power of attorney. What are LinkedIn? And by the way, I forgot to say thank you for joining us from Facebook and LinkedIn. Our primary platform is YouTube, but we do broadcast to Facebook. We broadcast to LinkedIn. If you're joining us from Facebook, put the word out for me. I'm not somebody accused me of, Dean, you hate Facebook, and so why are you on Facebook? And I said, well, I do hate Facebook, but I like helping test takers. So, if test takers need help and they're on Facebook, then you'll find me there as well. So spread the word, you Facebookers, that we're out here. I'm with you, Brian. I was just going to say the same thing.
We gave him one extra.
Yeah.
They asked for three, we gave him four.
Yeah, I wouldn't call that one extra. You know what I would probably do, Brian, is put a bracket and put suitability on all those.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Overriding, yes.
Yeah. So, suitability flows from the vehicle itself, right? The investment vehicle.
Right.
So LinkedIn user, I think we would agree. Now, Brian and I disagree on a number of option questions. I think Brian thinks it's lighter than I think. I think it's 20, give or take. Brian thinks it's what? Oh, you bumped it a little bit.
12 to 15. No, that's what I'm
okay. I thought last time you said 10. All right. We're getting to creep. We're getting Brian to creep a little bit. I usually say about 20 munis. What do you think, Brian?
No. 12 to 15.
Okay. What I would suggest you do, LinkedIn user, whoever you are, when it comes to munis, I would take a sheet of paper and fold it in half. And on one side, write all the terms associated with GOs. And on the other, all the terms associated with revenues. Because a big part of those questions, a lot of them, is distinguishing between GOs and revenues. They love to say, like, all the following are true of GOs except, or
That's right.
all the following are true of revenues except, or which of the following, that kind of thing. So I would highly recommend that. And I think mutual funds, a lot of people, I think, I don't know, what's the right word? Is it hubris, Brian? They just don't take the mutual fund section as seriously as I think they should. And that can be damaging to you, not only on 7, but when you go on to the 65 or 66, you really got to have a good handle on distinction between traditional open-end mutual funds and closed-end funds, or traditional open-end funds versus exchange-traded funds, and exchange-traded funds versus ETNs. I call that whole category packaged products. And that would include the mutual funds and the ETFs and the ETNs and that other stuff. So I'm not sure, Desiree, what we're saying yes to, but okay. Past the 66, another victorious test taker in the house. So again, we have people you can ask for help that are in there. Get the P. Okay, another content question. We love these content questions. One more. You can have as many as you want, Timmy. Past Perfect teaches annual update. It must be made within 90 days of year end. I've heard you mention it's 120 to the customer. It's not 90. There's not the administrator. It's the SEC. Right?
I get this question all the time, Dean.
Yeah. What do you say? I say that those are different things. The 90 days is not the customer, and the 120 is the customer.
That is correct.
So that would be, but listen, I got to tell you, Timmy, something. I don't know if I told you this, Brian. This guy, I don't do this anymore. If you want to talk to Brian, he's readily accessible. And he's been kind enough to allow us to have his questions on our channel. And I am not here to speak for Brian in defending his questions. But this guy and I went back and forth, Brian. And then finally he told me, well, my Past Perfect teacher says that you and Brian are wrong. And I said, well, I don't know what to tell you. You need to find another channel, because between Brian and myself, we probably have more years in the securities industry than this instructor. I'm just joking, but not really. So I had to come down on pretty hard, Brian. I said, either let it go, call Brian, or find another channel. I'm not here to support Past Perfect's content. Eric, again, you describe pay to play, please. Came across in my notes, but I can't find the book and I don't have a good description. Well, I think it depends again on your exam. If we're talking about the 7 or the SIE, we'd be talking about rule G37. And G37 on the SIE is pretty straightforward if you get it, that I have to be able to vote for the politician, and then I can give them a max of 250. Now, on the investment advisory side, It's a little bit more about trying to win the investment advisory business of a public pension plan, and that is going to be $350. Brian, have you heard anything besides the $250, the $350?
No.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
And then, if we catch ourselves, we can give back the money, and don't go into the penalty box for doing that. But Erica, I would tell you, Emma is a great resource. I'm going to put that in our playback here. 2019 Emma. Emma is the the electronic municipal market access. I bought a lithium battery today, Brian, so I'm still in the lithium world. Anyways, and there's all kinds of good stuff there. You can put in the search bar, pay to play, and I bet you anything, Erica, you would find all kinds of people got in trouble for it, as well as a nice little concise definition. You can also go to the MSRB website, where you can find all their rules, their A rules, administrative rules, their D rules, their definitional rules, and their G rules, their general rules. An investor placed $6,000 into a 150% leveraged index ETF. During the first period, the index rose by 15, and the second period fell by 33%. So it looks like a reset question. You want me to give you the board, Brian? You want to knock that one out?
Boy. Yeah, they got really funky with the numbers here. So they.
Yeah. So basically, Carla, what they're trying to, get you to do. So we would take 6,000 times 150% to get that reset, or 1.5. I'm with Brian. Brian, someday we're going to have to do a video for people, because I know, listen, I'm math challenged myself. If somebody offers me Carla calculator, I'm going to use it. But I have people who will send me things, Brian, like, oh, you say 100%. This one says 1. I said, well, 100% and 1 are the same numbers, basically. If we have $1, $1, that's 100 cents. But anyways, so you times it by 1.5, it gets 9. Then it goes down 33. So I would just times that by 33. I don't know how you go about, Brian.
Yeah. I when I see this busy math work, and you know how good I am in math. I love math.
Dude, listen, Brian is brilliant. Brian is brilliant.
But when I see these busy math work problems in practice questions, man,
can we guess, Carla, who your vendor is?
I think we both know.
I'm going to guess, Carla, that your vendor is past perfect.
That's exactly
because
right.
Past perfect. All test prep vendors are guilty, I think, of busy math. Is Brian? I love that, Brian. I'm stealing that busy math. Math. Now, what I would tell you, so let me tell you what I think you are going to have to do. Brian, by the way, has a very good example of this type of a question.
That's exactly
in his practice exam, which I think is relevant and isn't busy math.
To the set. Yes.
The other thing that I would, Carla, tell you is that where this comes up is on the reset is an equity indexed annuity. So if you're taking a NASAA exam, they will give you questions where you have to do the reset year to year, and then you have to recognize that there's no negative reset, right, that it never goes back. So that's what would be it. And Carla, you can tell it's busy math because Brian loves math and he loves his whiteboard. So the idea that he went up there and then turned back is a sign of busy math.
So, Carla, here it is. This question has shown up on the 7 in the past. There's no doubt about it. But, past perfect, Kaplan, whomever, they're not allowed to duplicate the real question. So they just throw these stupid numbers at you to make it really ugly. For example, on the real test, it's not 150% leveraged. It's a 200% leveraged ETF, which means it's just 2 times. Also, one other part of this that you have to assume that the ETF met its goal, which means it went up 1.5 or 2 times. So if the index went up, say, again, now they go, the index up is 15%. Why didn't they just say the index is up 10? That's so much easier. 10 times 1.5, which means your value went up 1.5 times 10 or 15%. And then, so the numbers are just ugly. It's too ugly. Email me. I'd be more than happy to show you my question. I'd give you the rationale and the math for it. It's a lot easier to do.
Let me give that up there for him. There's Brian's email. I definitely take him up on it. I know he's busy, but I also feel sometimes he could be lonely and not get talk to as many test takers he'd like to in a given day. So we can all help him and call and make sure he's okay. They can double as a wellness check. Say, hey, you know,
I flew back from Florida yesterday to Seattle. I mean, can you go any two further points between St. Augustine and Seattle? So I was on an airplane for 6 hours, and I get off the plane, you know, and I got 32 emails.
Yeah. You know, Brian does more for pay stuff than I do, but I do, Brian's, like even this morning, it's like 2 hours on burying myself from, you know, listen, the channel is free. So sometimes, Brian, I feel like saying it's free. So what are your expectations? You're not going to get a concierge as well with the free channel.
You mean there's no free concierge?
Yeah,
You can't hold my hand through all this?
Listen, we're you know, please do get in touch with if you need help. I gave Nicole, I don't know if you're joining us tonight, Nicole, but you know, Nicole asked me, you know, send me an email. I do read my emails. I try and respond. I apologize when they slip through. But the easiest way is to book an hour of tutoring, then you'll know Dean will show up. But Nicole, I gave her we do free office hours. They're for people who have paid for either class that Brian and I do. We do evening classes every now and again, or I honor it for Kaplan students. I honor it for tutoring. And anyways, I told her she could have a free office hour, participate in that. She did that this evening. So there are opportunities for you to get individual help for free. The other thing we do that's free tonight, we don't do it every Tuesday. We do a live stream overtime session with a whiteboard, and we go through whatever, you know, people have on the agenda. So my channel is completely free. The booking page is not free. There's only 2 things that are free, and then Brian's paid supplements. He has some free stuff on YouTube as well, and I'm sure he is sincere. You can call him, and you know, he does tutoring as well. But like we say, we do have an audience that can be challenging to keep up with. Where do you access? Well, Becca, Brian's exams can be accessed through Brian or on the channel. He's been kind enough to let me explicate them. So you can watch Dean hit pause, hit play, see what your answer is, compare it to my answer. And then we've been very clear with this. Any of those exams you find on the channel, if you just want Brian's PDF, it's $20. And people continually will say, all I got was the PDF of the exam. Yeah. I think we told you that. But if you want the class notes that comes with that, it's like $40, and every level up includes. So if you get Brian's videos, then you get it all. So that's how you access Brian's exams. For free on the channel is video explications, and then for paid, and I really suggest you get that paid PDF. I use it as what I call poor man's flashcards. What Becca ask people to do with Brian's practice exam is I'll mark out his wrong answers and just read his question, the right answer the night before the exam and the morning of the exam, just to get that circadian kind of flow going. Because most people don't wake up in a NASAA flow, for example, where you're all like, oh, time to take my 65. So I would highly recommend that. $20 well spent. I know some people are challenged resources. Why? That's why you're getting into the securities industry. We get it. And so we do have lots of free stuff. But it's not a time to be frugal in terms of resources available. So whether that's, you know, attending a Kaplan class or buying Brian's paid supplement, this is a time to, you know, invest in yourself, so to speak. So if you can afford it, I would highly recommend it. All right, 9:10. Well, I'm teaching at 9, Savannah, actually next Thursday or next Friday. So if you want to join me, you can certainly go to the Kaplan website. Love to have you. It's the 10% discount code at checkout is Guru10, and I'll be doing that. This 10 is a real slog. And I just finished a 10, Savannah.
Meeting stuff. Those meeting rules.
Just exhausting. But brief description I'm up for. Well, I don't know. I would tell you the 10 is a slog. I'm not sure what order you want to do it in. You can do it in any order, but I think 9 is going to give you a warped perception of the 10. So, you know, I see where some people like to knock out the 10 because it's the bigger dragon to be slayed. You have thoughts, Brian, on 10 versus 9?
I don't. Either one to me.
Okay. The other thing I would tell you, Savannah, is a lot of people underestimate or overestimate, I should say, the minutia on option strategies that is not on the 9. And they spend a lot of time going down rabbit holes on ratio rights and condors and stuff that just isn't a big time. It's mainly supervision. So be careful in 9 that you don't overdose on, you know, exotic option strategies, and stay on the broad avenues and highways of that. Ain't no way. I don't know what that means. Break even is pretty much the options, Matt. Take my Series 7 Friday. Yeah, well, break evens is definitely there, right? So, I mean, that's important. People don't do things to break even. They do it to make money, but I would certainly know the break even. Yeah. Was it past perfect? Brian has a question about how a check must be forwarded to a third party within 24 hours to avoid.
It's 72. It's 72.
It's 72. So Timmy,
that has been changed.
yeah, 72 hours. Oh, are you using Timmy an old practice exam, Brian's? Get the new one.
72.
72.
Yeah, it
72
used
hours.
to be 24. Remember that, Dean? It used to be.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Yeah, it's 72. It's definitely 72.
That's
So
right,
Brian, yeah. But again, Timmy, you don't have to, challenge Dean or Brian. You can just send Brian an email or me, and we're the happy.
Yeah. They're both 72 hours. Yeah. 3 days.
There you go. Well, thank you so much. We stay on Brian stays on the broad end as always a little more than I do. I mean, he's really focused on the tests. I get off the beaten track every now and again. But we both Mutual Admiration Society, Carla, I think Brian and I both think we do a much better job than the test prep vendors. So
that's why we've paired ourselves and known each other for so many years, because we know it's right there. It's about the test.
Yeah. Question regarding the Kaplan. Question regarding the Kaplan. I'm not sure what that is.
Melissa.
Well, let's look for it. Oh, is Kaplan Mastery for Series 6 a good gauge? Yes. It's tougher than the actual exam. So if you score well on it, it should feel good, right? That you're going to be in a good spot. So the answer is yes. Melissa, on the channel, I have various Series 6 practice tests. I have a Knopman. I have a Kaplan. I think Brian.
You have mine? You have mine?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have plenty of theirs for you to get a check. I always tell you, Melissa, this way. I always say, if you want a good check, take one of Brian's practice exams, because those are a very strong correlation to the actual exam. And so you can feel good about that score, where some vendors are a little tougher, some are too easy. And it's hard to really kind of, feel good where you're getting scores and say, okay, I think this mark is relevant to my exam. So make sure you take one of Brian's exams. He has 6s available there as well. Series 9, yeah, it's a lot of material. One, focus on supervision on the 9. Focus on the supervisory parts of it, not so much the options strategies, broad avenues and highways. One, I mentioned I'll be teaching the Kaplan Series 9 next Friday. You're welcome to join me for that class. If you do so, the discount code to check out is Guru10. That gives you a 10% discount on that Series 9 class. Yeah, I think, Melissa, we just answered that for you. Yep. And the Series 6 playlist, just go to the channel, my YouTube channel, find the Series 6 playlist, and you'll find a Knopman practice exam. Knopman's pretty tough. You'll find Brian's Test Geek, which I think will give you the best correlation to the actual exam. And there's a mastery, not a mastery, a Kaplan practice exam as well. Hey, Cynthia, we got to do our coaching call. I'm sorry I didn't get back to you yet. We got to put that on the schedule. If we don't, Cynthia, get your coaching call. Cynthia won the drawing last week. So those of you new who are joining us, at the end of our call, our live stream, we do a drawing for a coaching call. We got some previous winners here. We got Marcel won, Cynthia won. And I think what I'm going to start doing, Cynthia, is putting that back where the winning is an automatic just Zoom invite. So I don't have to figure out where to put it and how to get it done. But I'll certainly get with you. If we don't get it done, Cynthia, by the end of this week, it'll be at least another week, because I'm going to be out of my off the grid cabin. So let's get that done. Cynthia, that coaching call. Let's try and get that done this week. You're out of here, Timmy. Well, that's the good news. Once you get your questions answered, you are allowed to leave, Timmy, because you are long the live stream. Brian and I are short the live stream. So we're obliged to answer the questions. 66 question. Are private placements only exempt if there are 10 or fewer offers to non-institutional customers within 12 months. And if offered to more, they're not exempt and need to register. I don't think it's going to be a question about need to register or not. I think it's the number, the 10 or fewer. Your thoughts, Brian?
There is no limit on the amount of offers in a private placement.
Now, I think she's talking about the state version.
I know. The limit is on non-accredited versus accredited, not the total number of investors.
Well, no, I don't think she's asking about Reg D. I think she's asking about a NASAA state private placement. So, because the accreditation thing is only for Reg D, it has no meaning in the Uniform Securities Act. I would only worry about not the part about if you go over, you have to register, just the number, right? The idea of the private placement of the Uniform Securities Act template. I'm not sure what you mean about that 58%, Melissa. On the real test or a practice, or
I think you meant the mastery. I think
Ashley, you want to do a restricted margin account example, Brian? If not, that's okay. So Ashley, if you go to the deantenneytutoring.setmore.com, let me put that up for you. If you go there tonight, you can register at 6:15, and I'll have not as nice a whiteboard as Brian's, but I'm more than happy to show it to you. But it looks like Brian, we are going to get him to do it. So that's good. So let me give him his board space. Whoop, wrong view. There we go.
So we have a margin account with two stock positions, XYZ and ABC. Total long market value of $15,000. So LMV is 15. We have a debit of 7. That would give us an equity of $8,000. Now, if you did that percentage, we call it an equity percentage, you see that's greater than 50%, right? Now, if these two went down in value, let's just say they both went down 1,000. So now it's 13, right? Debit balance still 7. Equity is now 6, right? Notice that the equity is now less than 50%. That's the restricted account. That's all it is that when the equity percentage is less than 50% of the market value. It's funny, Dean, because, again, this is another term I never use. I know the textbooks use it, but all it means is your equity is less than 50% of the LMV. That's all it means. It doesn't mean anything else. You can still buy stock. You can still borrow money. You can still sell stock. You can withdraw stock. You can do anything. I never use that term in Series 7 because the test doesn't.
Okay. So test prep vendors. So Ashley, test prep vendors. Again, don't get Brian and I going on a rant. But you would never know you're restricted unless if you are below 50% and you tell me to sell securities and I'm a margin clerk, you don't tell me anything, I'm going to pay down the loan. And if you ask for a check, then I'm going to say you're restricted, Ashley. And the restriction is you can only have half the proceeds. So when you're below 50%, you sell, you can only have 50% proceeds. You can think of that a restriction, retention, whatever floats your boat. But that's a new thing. And then test prep vendors do have practice questions. Again, practice questions. I feel like Allen Iverson. Practice? Are we talking about practice? Where, Brian always likes to talk about the test. And I'm talking about a practice question. Yeah. All vendors have this weird, Brian, practice question where they get miss the question if they don't know that if the customer doesn't ask for the check, we will credit their SMA for the half they could have got. It's the one time and one time only there would be a direct entry into SMA. Right. So I don't know, Ashley, if that's what triggered your seeking an answer to this, but Brian is correct. I think I call my lecture, and I will link to it in requested videos at the top of the replay. I call that entire lecture, Don't Overdose on Margin.
Please.
It's an hour, and I think what I do is sufficient. And when I teach class, I say I used to turn people into margin clerks, and they'd say, Dean, you did me a disservice. I only had 3 or 4 questions. My time would have been better served to do options. I told you tonight, Ashley, too, in our office hour playback, Nicole wanted to go over margin. And I'll tell you, every week somebody wants to go over options and margin.
Yeah.
Options are the bigger deal. So you should, spend that time on, options.
Yeah.
So hope that was helpful. I'll link in the replay at the top of the replay, a link to my margin lecture. There's a margin account replay. Again, you can also remember, Ashley, go into the channel search bar and put restricted account in the search bar, and you can watch me walk people through that kind of a practice question.
Dean, when we used to teach the Legacy Series 7, the big 250, we used to go through all of this. We went through every situation, if it went down, if it went up. And then we did the same thing with short accounts. If it went up, if it went down. Margin requirements, restricted accounts, activity.
And Brian is blessed. I got to tell you, Brian is blessed because he gets to just, sell his videos and teach to the test. And it's unfortunate because I do have to say, I feel bad when I'm teaching a Series 7 class and I have to do more on margin than is necessary for the test because of the practice questions. Right. And because of the weight of the book that is spent on margin. All test prep vendors are guilty of this. I think the worst offender is Pass Perfect. You can also, Ashley, go to my tutoring replays. And a lot of, I told you this, Brian, a lot of them are unlocked Pass Perfect units where I think it's called block learning. There's some term for this, where I won't let Ashley go to unit 12 unless she gets through unit 11 with a certain score. And then she has an accountability partner that is on her saying you can't move forward. And sometimes it's for like a margin. I've literally had people pay me $225 an hour to spend 2 hours working Pass Perfect margin questions. I feel bad. Now, the reason they're doing it is because they have to be able to do it to progress through that. But anyways, you can find that tutoring replay. I call it margin questions from hell because what it is all the most obtuse kind of margin practice questions where I don't even think a margin clerk could get them right. Now, I happen to have been a consultant for E-Trade on their margin department, so you would expect Dean could do it. Got a 76 on Brian's practice exam. That's fantastic. And take a 9 practice through Pass Perfect, 82. You're good to go. Timmy, I can't imagine. Scores like that.
Good job.
Right? What I tease, Timmy, I tease people with scores like that. If you miss it, you don't need a tutor. You need a psychologist. You need one of those sports psychologists.
Man, he looks like he's ready to go.
No worries.
Yeah.
I don't know what I should know. I don't know how much the Series 9 class is. So I have no idea what Kaplan charges for the 9 class. If you go Kaplan Financial and, it asks you what series and you go Series 9, and then you can decide if you want the class only because the other thing that Kaplan does is slices and dices it. And, you can buy the class, you can buy the books, you can buy this, you can buy that. If you already have your other, it's not Kaplan, like if it's STC or if it's Pass Perfect or Training Consultants, just buy the class only version. And whatever that is, you get 10% off with Guru 10. So I'll try. I got to do better on knowing what things cost. I'm not, I have no idea what, if you find out one, let me know. Maybe I should be charging more on my daily rate. And there you go. The mastery. Well, mastery is tough. Yeah, Melissa. Where do you find the mastery? Well, it depends on, again, the version of Kaplan you bought. If your earlier question was, where do you find the mastery? That is a Kaplan exam that is available, I think, with the Premier package or whatever the package is. Again, not sure. You never catch the lies. Well, Ashley, we're here every Tuesday, except next week we'll be here Thursday. Bring your questions. We love content. Brian loves to be able to do stuff on the whiteboard. So just bring any questions. And I told you, we also have a live stream overtime session tonight. And I think there's still a couple spots. I capped that at 10. And then it's very similar. We have a chat and a whiteboard and we just knock out whatever people want to talk about. Pass the 7. Woohoo. Victorious test taker in the house.
There's another one.
All right. Woohoo. Wendy's here. Brian, I think what was the comment you made in our podcast about linear? I think you said these are linear questions. Was that your?
I talk about linear test taking all the time.
But how does that relate to weak and strong? I remember you making a comment about weak and strong on the test. No,
I do. In my class notes, I have simple constituents that match up with each level of the hypothesis. Where the textbooks, of course, go far deeper into fundamental and technical analysis and how it relates to EMH, where the real test never, ever talks about technical and fundamental analysis in regards to EMH. So all you got to do is know the simple components. Weak is price and volume history. Semi-strong includes financials, in other words, public financial information from the corporation. And then the strongest includes, in addition to those two, the private information that was at one time known to the insiders, such as a merger or acquisition. Those constituents are really all you need to know to answer the real questions on the test. The textbooks then start going into relating to technical and fundamental, and it just it makes it hard.
Yeah, I'm with you. I start with the strong and just say nothing works, and I go from there. Again, when you go in the channel search bar, you can put EMH in there, and then everything comes up and turning practice questions. And I wouldn't be surprised if Brian's comment from our podcast, because the search channel bar will bring up the podcast episode that Brian and I did on the 65, where I think we touched on that. That is the same content, basically.
Yeah.
Comparison of limit orders, stop limit orders. I don't know if we have enough time.
We don't. How many emails do you get on this every day?
Yeah.
Right?
So, Erica, here's what I would tell you. I think where a lot of people get hung up is they think there's a zillion types of orders. There's not. There's only two: market orders and limit orders. That's it. A market order is the only order that has no contingency, no qualifier. Every other order has some kind of contingency or qualifier. With a limit order, it's your price or better. And I will link in the replay to a type of order lecture. I have all kinds of stuff on this because Brian and I get it all the time.
Yeah.
But now a stop order, Erica, is going to be used to one of three things. Primarily, particularly on 66, to stop a loss. So I say to my broker, hey, I'm willing to lose approximately, let's put a buy stop or a sell stop. Now, we can have it when it triggers or gets elected, become a market order or limit order. So a stop limit is where you tell your broker, if it gets triggered, you want your price or better. Now, I would tell you that's very foolish, because now the more contingency or qualifiers you add to the order, the less likely it's going to get executed. But we will link to that lecture for you on types of orders. I think 66, I don't know how long, Erica, since you had your 7, but I think you'd be in pretty good shape based on your 7 to the 66. What do you think, Brian?
Absolutely. Yeah. The 7 goes far deeper. I don't think the 66 actually touches upon it that much.
65, 66, I think mainly just using a stop order to stop a loss.
Yeah.
Would be,
and maybe a simple definition. Erica, you're absolutely right. It is a little simpler than you think it is. Yeah. But finding that little simple path is the hard part, actually. Yeah.
Right. And then practice, I think the other thing is to experience it in practice questions. Make sure you do enough practice questions where you run into this frequently enough that you can kind of say, oh, okay, so here's how they're testing on this. 60 tomorrow. Kirk, get some good rest because it's a reading test. If you're averaging 77, I think you're in good shape. State of registration of securities. Well, Kirk, I would recommend, I have a video that you still have time for. It's called the Series 63 in 60 minutes. The Series 63 in 60 minutes. I'd watch that tonight, watch in the morning. It's a flow video just to get you in the flow of the 63. And you still have time for my Mighty 90. That's 90 minutes on the 63. I'll put that in our requested part of the video replay. And boom, I'll put that there for you. But you can find it on the channel. Do the 63 and 60 minutes. I hope you did, Kirk. I guess it's late. I don't want you to do anything that's going to cause you to get tired. But Brian, we have his 63 exam up there. It's really good. So I don't know what score you got on that, but I think you're in good shape. So I think main thing is just get some rest. I don't think you should do anything that, causes you to go backwards, right? As I say, you got to just stick the landing, right? I call the 747 principle, Kirk. 747 takes 120% of rated power off the ground, right? So seat back, nose up, but once you get up there, then it takes like 70, 80% to, just cruise. So that's where you're at. And now we just got to stick the landing, right? So
his practice scores look good. Look really good.
Yeah. I mean, Brian and I both think that those those mid 70 scores are indicators of success. So, I know there's a lot of accountability partners who would like to see higher scores, but all we need is, Brian calls it the P, right? We don't need to, we don't need to do anything other than get the P. Are you doing a joint 66 class? Well, Brian, I need to talk about our future collaborations. This class has been very popular as a replay in the freemium model. And, we'll probably talk Brian into doing some more stuff in our evening classes. I want to start on doing some SIE stuff, but Brian's so good on the NASA things. Maybe we can talk him into doing another NASA thing for us and put that up. We'd like to get some more paid numbers. Brian, are you up to that or not? Or?
The 7 and 66 are my favorite. Those are my those are my sweet spot. Those two.
Okay, so let's find something, Wendy. Why don't you, I think you have Brian's email. Why don't you or me just what part of the 66 would you like us to try and induce my friend Brian to do in that format like we did that last one? I haven't checked on it, Brian, but you should check the comments. All kinds of people talking about how helpful your definition and registration of persons has been to them. So I'm hoping we can get some more stuff up there. Training consultants, but this has been a journey. There you go. Yeah, well, don't be afraid. I mean, Ashley, our industry is fantastic. I don't know what your background is, but, I always tell people if you're poor and you deserve to be rich, then the securities industry is for you. I mean, this is a great industry. Not everybody loves it. I love it. It's been done well for me, but I think you just can't be fearful. You just got to think of this as a barrier to entry into a great, career. So, it's part of the process, rite of passage that everybody's had to do. Yeah, Brian.
Actually, I've had no formal finance training before I started all this. Too.
Yeah, I forgot. Brian was a high school teacher.
High school science teacher.
Yeah, he's a science guy. He's a geologist, right?
That's right.
Man, yeah. So there you go. By the way, Ashley, I'm not a finance guy either. My major was literature, and I minored in history and philosophy. And actually, people in our business actually who come from that. Listen, we're probably gonna get some finance people mad at us, but people who come from a different background typically do well in our business because they have a different perspective they bring to it in a good way. So I remember one of our live streams, Brian. I don't think you were on that live stream, and I said, it's really, can you understand the math? I said, I had a guy who made thousands of dollars from me over the years because I don't want to do the math. And when the math is important, I want to make sure it's right. His name is Lee. And I know he's as good in math as anybody else is going to be on the other side of the table. And then this guy in live stream said, well, you shouldn't be in this business if you can't do your own math. I'm like, well, gee, I hate to break the news to you. There are all kinds of very, very successful people in our business who are not math people. And I think, unfortunately, so Brian, I know Brian was a good high school teacher, but the other thing I always feel bad if you're not a good teacher is you don't want to be like my Mr. Bruner, rest in peace. I know he's dead by now, but he was my third grade teacher. And he turned me off to math. And I had such a phobia for so many years, Brian, about math. And I think, man, I hope I never do that to somebody and I know a lot of our test takers have phobias about math. So
lots,
you just got it's not going
to good thing there's not a lot of it on the test.
It's good news, right? 24, reading the textbook. That's where you should always start. I teach Blake a 24 class, but my next one isn't until December on the Kaplan schedule. But there's definitely Series 24 classes. I have a 24 playlist, Blake, that I will link in the replay at the top. And I do have some 24 stuff that people find helpful. And I don't know if you found us from the Reddit, Blake, but we have a Reddit for Series 24. It's called Series 24 Reddit. All of you folks, by the way, we have sister communities on Reddit. We have our Series 7 for SIE and Series 7 test takers. You'll find the link in the video description of any of our lives. We have R66, which is a Reddit community for 63, 65, and 66. And we have R Series 6 for Series 6 test takers and R Series 24 for 9, 10s, and 24s. What I like about it, Blake, is it's anonymous. So nobody knows who you are. I'm obviously not anonymous on there, but you can, feel comfortable posting and, talking to fellow test takers. The same material as your 66 combination pack. I don't even know what that means, Brian. Brian, does your video? It does.
The combo
Okay.
pack is part of the video as well. So you get all in one with the video course.
So the combo is the all-in version.
Sometimes people will buy the combo pack and then want the video and they go, hey, it's still in there. Well, I'll refund the combo pack if they buy the video so they don't kind of pay for both.
Yeah. Well, again, if you have any questions about Brian's stuff, just reach out and give him a call or send him an email. I'm sure he'll, be more than happy to walk you through it. My understanding is pretty simple, but I mean, I don't know. I haven't bought Brian's stuff, but my understanding is that you can buy the exam, the PDF, which is the class notes, and then all in is the videos and the course, right?
Which includes the PDFs.
Yes. There you go. So all in. Every tier up gets you the previous tier.
Get you more. Yeah.
Yeah, but listen, moms, I think I listen, I don't want to sound prejudicial, but moms have a lot of, I got a mom I was working with today, and she's got a lot of stuff professionally, personally. It's tough to carve out the time, 24 on Saturday, Beth, be confident in yourself, be confident in your answers. I think the 24 is one of those barbells between, recognition and then, judgment. You're going to think this is funny. I don't mean this to be funny. I'm perfectly serious, Beth. I am going to link at 5609 what I have heard more than once is a life-changing video from my friend Brian on buy-ins and sellouts on the 24th. So I'm going to link it. I think it's only like 10 minutes or so. Is it, Brian? I think it's...
Yeah, it's not very long. Yeah.
Yeah. Watch that. I don't think that's going to make a difference, Beth, in you passing tomorrow or not. But maybe it'll give you a little comfort level on that if you see it. And,
because there are several questions on the buy-in.
Yeah. And I send people there, Beth, when people, ask me to walk it through. I go, just go watch Brian's video. It's, it's the best. So I highly recommend that. You also have time, Beth, for my series 24 and 60 minutes. For every series, I have 60-minute versions to watch the night and morning up. So I'd recommend that for you as well. But I'll link in the replay to Brian's buy-in and sellout video. Do you remember what the title's called? Is it called buy-in or sellout or 24?
I think it's called buy-ins and sellouts. Yeah.
Okay.
It's series 24. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go. One was law enforcement. There you go. A lot more money. Yeah, a lot less stress. People aren't, Juan, you'll love this. My grandmother's passed on, but she used to give me a ride to the train station, and you'd be driving the train station for me to go to work. And then she would tell me how my cousins have real jobs. I go, what do you mean my cousins have a real job? I said, Grandma, I have a real job. She goes, well, no, they get shot at. I go, well, yeah, because they're police officers. I'm like, oh, well. Personally, thank you both. I passed in June. Passed perfect for both of you for test prep. Take my Saturday. I take 66 on Saturday. Corey, I think you're going to be good. 74 and pass perfect. I think gets it done.
Make sure you take my final just for some confirmation.
Beth, I don't know why you can't hear anything. I think our audio is good. I still have good audio on my end.
Yeah.
So I know that's probably not what you want to hear. Let me can somebody in the chat just say that, Beth, we saw your chat and the audio is working on our end. Maybe she's on a VPN or something. So I would do it, but I'm not very good at getting back to the chat. It's almost time for the drawing. When I found you, when Dean said he was a math person, there you go. So yeah, I usually tell people I'm serious. When I'm tutoring people, I say, listen, anybody ever offers me a calculator, I'm saying thank you very much. So. Well, all right, Wendy, spending some time with you. I love it. Yeah, I think, but moms are important, right? And sometimes you can't, as a mom, you can't tell somebody you're taking a test. I think it's good that they get to see you model that behavior, but Okay, so let's see. There's some good debrief from Sasha. Thank you, Nigel, for joining us from LinkedIn. We always love our LinkedIn participants. Let me grab our giveaway tool for tonight.
IAR. Yeah.
And let's see. What does anybody got any ideas for a word for tonight? I got to choose the live stream.
I got one.
What do you got? Labor. Why
as in Labor Day or as a homage to moms?
I like it. Okay,
however you
labor. Put labor in the chat. And let me get our board here up. And let me get stop our ticker. Remember, next week will be on Thursday instead of Tuesday. So next live is Thursday, 5:30. It's a special edition of our thing. Let me get that done. And if you win, you need to send me or claim your prize. There's that. Let me go get our thing. Share screen. Share screen. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, let's put it that way. Okay, entries coming in. Any more people want to participate in the drawing for the coaching call? It's a 30-minute coaching call. It is recorded and replayed for the benefit of others. You can share it with somebody if you'd like. By the way, that came up too. I have some ladies that formed a tutoring syndicate. When I give you a link, you're welcome to have as many people on the link as you'd like sharing with you. So whether that's a tutoring or a coaching call, if you want to share it, you want to assign it, I have no problem with that. So if you say, Dean, I want to give it to somebody in my office, that's fine with me too. All right, here we go. The drawing. Cynthia, you can't win 2 weeks in a row, so that's the only rule. We call that the Marcel rule or the Erica rule. I forget who it was. We came up with a rule that you can't win 2 weeks in a row. All right, Giorgio, I hope that I pronounced that correctly. So send that email and we will figure out when to do your coaching call. I'd like to get it done this week because I'll be using my cabin, be out there next thing. A question on NFT. First thing, Matthew, I've ever heard of an NFT question being on a NASAA exam. Let's get rid of that. All right, so that concludes this evening. I'll see some of you in the live stream overtime session. Remember, inch by inch, your exam is a cinch. Yard by yard, your exam is hard. And Brian?
Keep it simple. Stay with what you know. You take the test. Don't let the test take you.
All right, everybody. See you next Thursday, 5:30 for the next installment.